My name is Danny Marty Ray, and before I jumped into the world of podcasting, I tried my hand at being in a punk rock band. We did okay, but a few years down the line, I bumped into Jarrett Reddick, frontman of multi-platinum selling band Bowling for Soup, and one of the scene legends who really has been there, done the thing, and got the t-shirt. Together, we decided to launch the kind of resource that we wished we'd had growing up. This is your resource now, and this is our podcast. Welcome to Music Networking 101.
There's so much anticipation on after the fade out.
You got to have a build up, right?
Yeah, of course. How are you, man?
I'm not bad at all, man. It's been an absolutely slam day, though. I've not even had like 5 minutes just to sort of sit and have a thought to myself. How about you?
That's good, though. No, I think that's life now, right? Like nobody sits and wonders anymore. You just power through. See, that's much better. Thank you. I felt like I was like coming through the screen at myself.
Yeah, no, same. I realized I forgot to do the overlay. Yeah, no, that's better. Now it doesn't look like we're zoomed in massively.
We look great.
But yeah, no. Obviously, today is our second Music Networking 101 panel, and I'm really excited because our guests today are Rishi Bahl, who is the founder of Chord Music Festival, and he is also the frontman of Eternal Boy, who were recently also Grammy nominated, for anyone who didn't know, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And we also have Maggie Schneider, who is the frontwoman of Glimmers, who are absolutely phenomenal pop rock band from over in the States. So without further ado, let us bring in Rishi to the fray, and so he can introduce himself. Hey, Rishi.
Hello, how are you?
All good, man. All good. How are things?
Things are they're pretty normal. Glad to be here on a Tuesday here in Western Pennsylvania. Getting cold. It's getting Steeler season. Am I right, Jarrett?
That's right. That's why it didn't look like as much the other day, but I'll take 27 points in the fourth quarter, but I'd prefer that to lead to a victory.
We should start our own podcast about Pittsburgh Steelers, but we can do that another time.
We can do that. First of all, wait, let's sideswipe all of that insanity. By the way,
hell yeah.
What's this I hear about a Grammy nomination? Let's talk about that.
Well, we found out today. We got on the ballot, right? So you know that there's like 80 or 100 artists that go from like the big pool to the smaller pool, and then today was like the announcement of the actual nominations, which they fucking put Paul McCartney on it instead of us, so that was pretty surprising. But so we didn't make the actual final ballot, but we were nominated in 3 categories on the pre-ballot, which again was, I'm sure you have been there too. You're Grammy award winning, aren't you?
No, Grammy nominated, made it to the thing and then went and no doubt won.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, no, but who we were nominated against: Dave Matthews, NSYNC, Bon Jovi, and No Doubt. And so I was rooting for Bon Jovi.
What category was that?
Best pop performance by duo or group with best rock or pop, best performance by duo or group with vocal. Yeah. So essentially, I don't know.
For 1985?
No, girl, the bad guys won.
Dude,
yeah.
Song changed my life. I just want to put that out there, by the way.
That
song, that fucking riff, that everything about that is just was life-changing for me whenever I heard that.
Man, I got to be honest. I did not write that riff. I wrote that song with Butch Walker, and I didn't even know what drop D was. So, you know what I mean? I thought it was something dirty that you saw on television. And he played me that riff, and I go, I don't know what's happening right here, but I think we're onto something. So
that dude, I mean, I didn't know what drop D was until 2 weeks ago either. So I can empathize that song. So you worked a lot with Butch Walker, didn't you?
I did, but this isn't about me. This is about you, Rishi. Tell us about just a little bit, brief biography about you, how you got into music, and sort of like where things have settled in for you and what you're just, with the Four Chord Festival and Eternal Boy, and, where it's, how it started, how it's going.
Cool. Well, first of all, stoked to be here. I could talk about Bowling for Soup for days upon end, but we won't. My name is Rishi Bahl. I'm an Eternal Boy, and before Eternal Boy, we were a band called the Space Pimps, which we actually were fortunate enough to play 3 or 4 shows with Bowling for Soup. And started off like every other band. We listened to bands like Bowling for Soup. We listened to Blink. We listened to Newfound. We got into Drive Through Records, which was revolutionary for us at the time. And we just grinded. I don't really have a magical hand story where it comes down and picks us up and brings us to the top. We've had every close call you can think of. We've been in offices with every major label you could think of, where I told people to fuck off and then they told us to leave the office. I mean, we have every close call you could think of, but in the end, we are a band that its ethos is driven by grindability, touring, social media grind, now obviously stream grind. And that essentially parlayed itself into a situation in about 2015 or 16 where, again, we had been the Space Pimps for 9 years. Every label told us to change our name, and I told every label to fuck off, and they were right. And nonetheless, we decided to take kind of control of our own destiny. I started a music festival in 2015 at a small club in Pittsburgh that Bowling for Soup played at. It was called Metropole back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And did a small festival there for 3 or 4 years because we were sick of kind of being passed on tours. We were sick on being passed on as kind of the opening act. So we kind of took it on our own hands, did that, parlayed the festival into a small independent record label in 2018, have signed 4 bands, released 4 or 5 records since 2018. And the festival has really grown into a realm that I never could have imagined it to be. And that's kind of where we're at. My ethos and the bottom line, it'll be on my gravestone. Anybody that knows me knows that I will, if you give me a set of matches and some toothpicks and a forest, I'll build you a palace. And that's kind of essentially what our world is.
You talk about the grind. I sort of see you guys as being in it for long enough for that grind to have transferred a smidge, right? So when I talk about Bowling for Soup coming up, for me, it's all about getting in the van and touring and playing and playing and playing and playing and playing. But to me, I feel like people don't go see bands for discovery anymore. So unless you're building it regionally and it makes sense financially, to me, the grind, especially for people who are going to find this panel beneficial, is really just that is almost as much, if not more, social media and streaming building than it is getting in the van and going to see who shows up to play. What do you think about that?
Oh yeah, man, totally. So I'm always about working smart and rather than working hard. So, that grindability certainly has transformed over the last 10 years without question. I mean, obviously today, I mean, it's almost beating a dead horse to say it's about streaming, but when the gatekeepers of streaming are almost as untouchable as the payola people for radio were in the early 2000s and as the label executives were in 2003. So, in terms of building a fan base digitally, that certainly obviously is our priority. And that is through content creation. It's through TikTok. It's through, as frustrating as it is, now, I'm in my 30s now. So like, I feel like I'm a little, I don't want to say old for that, but you have to constantly reinvent yourself through those mediums. So yeah, I agree. It's changed, but there is still, what I believe is balance. So yeah, I mean, as much as you have to really have that social media presence without question, you still have to get in a van and play shows or you're missing something, right? Without that integrated approach of social media, writing good songs. And let's be real, if you're not writing good songs, that should be where you start to begin with, though very subjective, obviously. And then obviously touring and playing shows. I believe in the John Feldman approach. When I was 16 years old, I emailed John Feldman saying, dude, you got to produce my band. We're the best ever. And he said, I'm not even going to look at or listen to your band. I think his wife responded to this until, one, you write a great song, and 2, you can sell out your hometown at the largest small club size venue.
Right.
I still live and die by that to some degree, as archaic as it may sound.
100. But see, to me, that puts it into perspective. It means going out there and playing and doing shows and whatnot. But the difference is, again, back from when you guys started, when we started, was like, you go out for 6 months and you just play to wherever you can and in front of this record store, this, and this. And I think now it's more confined. The world's gotten smaller, and I feel like you need to build out. I think what John said to you at 16 holds true even more now. Build that local market, trade shows with somebody in the town next door so that you can go play in front of their people. You put them in front of your people, and you just go out while making your focus and putting your money into those things. Like, as you said, social media.
I mean,
Danny, jump in a second, but I do have to ask one question because I'm super curious about this myself. As being a dinosaur in this business, and especially in my genre, I wonder, how does a band use TikTok to spread things? I mean, are you doing skits? Are you trying to be hilarious, and telling dad jokes to your grandmother? I mean,
So great question. And another thing I'm not flexing, right? So on top of all that, I do actually have a PhD in marketing as well. So I'm also a college professor outside of this. And my whole thing with new age social media and the way that it's used is that, social media and marketing has been transformed over the last 15 years. And it's really shifted from this, like, put up a sign, buy me, buy me, buy me, mass marketing approach to this more niche marketing approach where it's like, yo, on your social media for your 100,000 followers, you're not constantly talking about Bowling for Soup. You might bring it up in the conversation, and you do this very, very well, Jared. I mean, you do, even with that kid on TikTok that went viral that has all those weird face tattoos that changed all the words to 1985. I mean, that to me is a content piece. Your band is the aside on that, it's the afterthought on that. But the main content piece is this new age kid, younger, that's reaching a different demo. That's how TikTok needs to be used, is particularly for for music. It can't just be your music video over and over again. It can't just be, your new records coming out over and over again. It's got to be something else.
Yeah, something that really engages, draws them in. And also, again, it's like, as you say, I'm 49 years old. Like the last thing that some 14-year-old kid really, really wants to see is, me singing 1985 again. I mean, unless I'm coming to their town and then, they fight over the tickets.
I mean, but even with you, Jared, I mean, like, you could use the Phineas route too, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll admit this. I do not use TikTok to the way that I should. And it is one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to do it. But if I could sit around and do reactionary videos to Phineas and Ferb all day, every day for 3 weeks and never run out of content, like, really could. And, it's funny because somebody went viral the other day, a couple of weeks ago. Somebody went viral by playing Phineas and Ferb at their show. And the voice is all like, this crowd has no idea what they're about to hear. And they play Phineas and Ferb. This thing blows the fuck up, like, just everywhere, right? And I'm like, we've been playing that at every show for 8 years. Like, what gives here?
Yeah, I mean, dude, the nostalgia thing now is big. I mean, the appetite for content cannot be satiated in 2021.
Right.
And it's very rare. To be honest with you, it's very rare that like a driver's license comes out and it goes that. I mean, even today, there's so much white noise. It's like these unknown artists. I mean, so I have to watch what I say because, like, obviously this happens, but to get like as big as Bowling for Soup was in 2001, and I mean, obviously today you're huge still, but when you blew up, for the reasons that you did, to do that in 2021, it's like I said, it's the Olivia Rodrigo syndrome that everybody has, and it's almost like in 2001 when I thought that I was going to get signed to Virgin Records when I wrote my first song in my bedroom. Yeah. I mean, it's too much.
Let me ask you this then, because that sort of leads into something that I bring up in conversation a lot when I'm with, the dudes or just having beers with random people. So do you think because our attention spans are so short and because content is something where it's just got to be going, and because so now we can almost get sort of relaxed about someone that 6 months ago we thought were the biggest thing in the world. Again, it's attention span, it's oversaturation. Does another U2 ever happen again? Does Madonna ever happen again? Like, I mean, I guess the closest thing we have to that even being a possibility is Billie Eilish, Ariana Grande, but can that go 35 years?
Dude, I've been working on a paper and granted it's in academia, so it'll be seen by 4 people.
Yeah.
It's a paper that essentially is titled that it's in work right now, but that there's no such thing as a rock star anymore. And then you see somebody like last night at the AMAs, I don't know if you saw, Machine Gun Kelly wins best rock record and says and I'm paraphrasing, but he says some totally, offhand comment like, "Oh, everybody says that rock's dead. I really don't see it." And he says it in this kind of like derogatory, condescending way. I don't think that there's going to be, in terms of the rock world, we can talk about Ariana Grande and Billie Eilish and the way that comes to fruition. There is still some magic with major labels. There's still some magic that happens, in between the cracks. But like on that macro scale, I was thinking before, I was talking to a bunch of dudes. I was talking to Joe from Patent Pending also a couple weeks ago, It's like, I was trying to think of the last band within pop, punk, alternative that are considered rock stars. And I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's All Time Low.
That's exactly where I would have went.
And it's like, why did All Time Low get popular, right? Obviously, they wrote great songs. They grinded it. They toured it. They did Warp. Mm-hmm. They followed Warp like we did. They got kicked off Warp. They did the whole thing. But they also were one of the last bands to tour with Fall Out Boy when they were on MTV.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you go by the media, then you would go 5 Seconds of Summer. But right. If you're in this world, to me, 5 Seconds of Summer is not in this. But it's fine that they are. It's more of just like a perception thing. It's like that band is a boy band. They toured with boy bands or whatever. They can all play their instruments and they're really nice fellas. But again, media wise, you would probably go 5 Seconds of Summer. But just as far as the grind and like pop punk, it's for sure All Time Low. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it's I just don't think there's going to be another bowling. It's hard for me to see unless there's a paradigm shift, a new medium, another MySpace or Pure Volume or something that precipitated that. I just can't see it happening anytime soon. So social media is there to go viral for a second. That's the chance you have to catch the attention spans. And that's the time that you have to make your elevator pitch to the public as to why whatever content they're looking at, your music or your entertainment purpose is worthy of being there.
Yeah. And I think the thing with TikTok as well is it's one of those things that you literally, out of all the social media platforms, that's one of the ones where you have to be posting literally every day. And if it's not you, then, another member of your band, but you need to be constantly putting out content with that, which obviously is can be quite demanding with your schedule, depending on what else you're doing, where you're touring, what other stuff you've got going on. And that's really difficult in itself. And then also trying to sort of see what's trending in the TikTok world and then find a way to put your own brand or band's personal kind of stamp on that. So not just do the trend for the sake of doing the trend, but actually like own it, put your band's stamp on it.
Well,
it's
also,
brutal. Yeah.
Brutal. Also, what's interesting is that, maybe we're talking, maybe the Bowling for Soup's All Time Lows, Fall Out Boys, Blink's, Newfounds, like maybe we're just talking in too much of an abstract language in 2021. Maybe we need to start looking at the subterranean again, because that's how it all started, right? I mean, maybe we need to start looking at, and I was thinking again, like even when Blink and Green Day and Bowling for Soup and everybody hit in the early 2000s, that perpetuated something like Drive-Thru Records to have success. But most of the drive-thru bands did not have commercial success.
Hey, look, the biggest selling punk rock band of all time. Do you know who that is? I'm sure you do.
Biggest selling punk rock band of all time?
Of all time.
God, I'm scared to even guess.
It's Bad Religion.
No shit.
Zero commercial success. If you look at their sales, it is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Like it's actually so much more than you think it is that it's fucking crazy.
Worldwide or domestic?
Worldwide. Yeah, it's crazy.
Which brings into other things. I mean, listen, we were fortunate enough early on to sign to a label in Japan called Kick Rock Music that ended up, getting all of the Hopeless catalogs, the Fearless catalogs. We've toured there 4 or 5 times, which brought us then to China to tour and all these other places. Then, Patent Pending brought us under their wing 4 years ago, 5 years ago, brought us to the UK, which you brought them under your wing.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, you know, that international market world too is something that is hard to grasp when you're 18 or 19 or 20.
Yeah.
But that world is endless. As you can attest, Jared, Japan is 10 years behind the United States.
100%.
I remember when we did our last time we played Japan was like 2014. I remember we were playing at Club Quattro in Tokyo, and across the street at the Tokyo Civic Center, Lagwagon was playing 4 nights in a row, sold out every single night.
Yeah. Well, and there's a reason Steel Panther are so big there. You know,
Yeah,
like as you say. I mean, you know, it's but you know what you just said though, again, sort of comes down to another thing that I say all the time, and I'm curious as to what you think about this, but I feel like success in this industry, unfortunately and fortunately, can all be boiled down many times to relationships. And that is you getting out there, busting your ass to meet, to do this, to network, to meet people, to do, you know, to again get your music in people's hands or whatever. Because yes, I took MC Lars, Army of Freshmen, Patent Pending, Wheatus, revised them over there, Zebrahead, you know, all in the UK because we're buds. You know, that's the reason why.
And that's why you guys fucking rule, by the way. But keep going.
You know, we catch a lot of shit actually because of this. Because
sure you do.
We catch a lot of shit because we only take our friends on tour. Well, listen to me. When I'm on tour, it's backstage is very small, and I want people around me that I like, that have certain, we like the same jokes, you know, and that you're not fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, and quite frankly, we're annoying. So you have to be able to put up with that. But you know, it's relationships. I think. I
know. I mean, and how long have you had your U.S. agent? Who is your agent?
Andy Summers.
Andy Summers. I was going to say Kirk Summers.
I'm very loyal. I don't ever change. So that's the same agent that I've had since 2002.
UK, is it Ed Sellers?
Ed Sellers. That we have changed a few times over there because of certain things. But Ed, you know, Ed started out following the Army of Freshmen around selling their t-shirts, and then he started a little festival over there and brought the Aquabats, and now he's the biggest agent in the UK.
Dude, I know, man. Listen, I've always been like, you know, being from Pittsburgh, you have not only ties in Pittsburgh because of the Steelers, but there are a lot of bands that you've helped in Pittsburgh. You know, one of the bands that we've looked up to, I mean, literally like that world in Pittsburgh, it was Punchline in 2004 to 2000. We followed a Bowling for Soup Punchline tour at one summer, selling CDs outside of it for like 3 weeks. I mean, that is where I learned, you know, the Anti-Flag guys are the same way with AF Records in Pittsburgh. It's like I feel like any little success we have, even Four Chord Music Fest, Patent Pending, Keep Flying, Eternal Boy, Lookout Lorette, the same 4 bands, and I get tons of shit from agents, from agencies, from bands. Like, how are you not going to put this so-and-so band, they're on the rise? I'm like, dude, listen, I don't listen to music past 06. Like, that's not going to make a difference. So I empathize with that, but I do still believe in that sense of community, which I think that is important in that. If I can take one thing out of going to shows at VFWs, it's that sense of community.
Sure. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, people break through, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like, it's not unheard of for us to, you know, we always try to take someone new and, you know, here and there, but it's people that we meet along the way, you know. I mean, it's like we met this band Mom Rock on the Rock Boat. I can't wait to take those dudes on tour. It's going to be great. But Danny, I can see that you're sort of looking around. Maybe it's time to bring Maggie on.
Yeah, let's bring Maggie into the fray so that she can introduce herself and her background.
I hope she's ready.
Hey.
How are you guys?
Did you think we forgot about you?
No, honestly, I loved hearing all of the stories. I feel like you both need memoirs. I will read them.
Maggie, so just as we did with Rishi, you know, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about, you know, how it started and how it's going.
Awesome. All right. So my name is Maggie. I am the front woman of my band Glimmers. We have been active as Glimmers for almost 2 years now, Before then, I was a solo act just under my name, Maggie Schneider. We're based in Atlanta, so we love playing the Masquerade. I was talking about that earlier. Big shout out to them. But yeah, I played solo for 5 or 6 years, opening for bands like Courage My Love and State Champs, and doing the grind as y'all were talking about earlier. Then wanted a backing band. I had been just a girl with an acoustic guitar for a long time, and I wanted that sense of camaraderie and the fun that you get playing with other people. So finally, after a long process, found the best bandmates, which takes forever. I don't know if y'all have experienced that.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, it is a process. But found them. We signed with Common Ground Collective last year. Wonderful management. We've put out 2 EPs, and we're about to get back on the road now, since we haven't had a chance to tour as Glimmers properly. But kind of between all of that, I love working in music PR, so I love that side of it. I am also a huge fan of TikTok. I stay active on it. I try to, once a day or every other day, post new content. And yeah, people seem to like what I post, so that always makes me excited.
What so since we already talked about that, what's your angle on TikTok? What do you do on there?
So I think you guys hit the nail on the head about finding the balance between promoting your music, but also showcasing your personality and making people feel like you're not selling the product, but you're like sharing it like a friend. I think that is the main thing that I always try to take away from it. So for me, like, I'll share that we're going on tour, or I'll share that we have a new song, but I do work tour mashups. That's a big thing that I started doing, where I take a year of Warped Tour and I sing a different song from a ton of bands that were on that lineup. Nice. So that was something that luckily worked out for me, and Kevin Lyman saw it, which was a huge deal for me. I freaked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so doing that kind of stuff, finding the balance between showing who you are and then, acting like a friend with your followers, I think is a big selling point. Because I don't necessarily want to listen to someone's music if they keep poking it at me. Just like, hey, listen to it. I want to connect with the person.
Right.
I think that authenticity is absolutely key. Like, people really can tell if you're working from a script when it comes across naturally like that, and you're able to, just really get your personality across. That is what I think really resonates with people.
Have you guys heard of this band called Magnolia Park?
Yes, I was on one of their songs.
Yeah.
So they actually go against the I think our communal perspective on TikTok. The way they go viral is that every day they've posted, or every other day or every week, they posted a clip from the same song saying, maybe today this will go viral. Maybe today this will go viral. And it went viral. They signed to Epitaph.
Yeah, nice. I have noticed that. But I do think, though, that while they are taking the opposite approach, you still want to know who they are as people.
Definitely.
Like, yeah. I remember I saw a bunch of those posts, like, before they asked me to be on one of their songs on their, I think, not this most recent EP, but the one before they got signed to Epitaph. But I went on their Instagrams and I was like, these dudes just seem so cool and, like, authentic, even though they were posting, like, that very high quality content.
Agreed.
I think it's a cool mix with them.
Yeah, I mean, personality is key for sure. I mean, so an interesting thing about then Glimmers is you guys form, COVID happens, and so like you said, you actually haven't even been able to get out there and tour. What did it look like keeping a band together during all that? Because I think you're going to have a lot of people who are watching this going, I haven't seen my drummer in 2 years.
Honestly, yeah. Oh man. So we took the pandemic as an opportunity to make that rebranding transition. So we played a show. We opened for Between You and Me and Bearings March 11th of 2020. March 13th, everything goes to hell. So we did that under Maggie Schneider. So they were just my backing band at that point. So with the pandemic, with not being able to go on our summer tour, with things being canceled, all of that, we had already been thinking about the process of rebranding, but it felt daunting, especially to me, when we have all of these things going on. So when everything shut down, I hopped on a Zoom call because, of course, with my guys, and I was like, okay, I think we need to take this time in stride and say, all right, this is not just a solo career for me anymore. Let's figure out what we want our story to be. So then when things open back up again, eventually, we can actually start a little bit less green, like have that foundation to at least start growing. And it worked really well. So I'm a very type A person. I made spreadsheets, I made checklists. We started with obviously picking the name. Then from there, we went to what we wanted the visuals to look like and feel like with the word glimmers. We already had music done, so that was really lucky for us. But yeah, we took the time to think about what we wanted our mission statement to be as a band. So now, going on the road next week, we feel just really prepared to do that after 2 years.
Yeah. So what's that look like though? Going on the road, this is kind of the first time you've never traveled with these guys, but you do find them being awesome as bandmates and whatnot. You know, is this you guys obviously get in a people carrier or a van or something, and how long are you out?
Yeah, so we have a bus, which I'm very thankful. I know. Our drummer surprised us a year and a half ago. He drives to band practice. I hear a beep, beep. I look to my right, and it's a 15-passenger shuttle bus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right.
We got. So very, very lucky.
Before I start being Debbie Downer on this.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you know, Rishi. But before I start doing the whole what ifs and all that shit, how far are you going, and how many days are you gone?
There's 2 weekenders right now.
Okay,
so
you're good.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say anything negative then.
I need to know this story. What is it?
Oh, I appreciate y'all. Here's the thing. I'm like the mom of the band, and then Jeremy, our drummer, is the dad of the band. We also, his brother is a mechanic, so thank God.
Okay, so it's looking up. It's looking up. It's, you know, because rule number. So basically, the thing is all young bands. We did it. We bought a box truck, like a snack delivery truck, right? And that thing was governed at like 50 miles an hour. I mean, it was the worst, but it was ours, and you know, we took pride in it, and all that was great. But it does, like when you start touring or whatever, bands will be like, "We're gonna get an RV," and it's like, don't get an RV. Whatever you do, and unless you rent it, don't get an RV, because that thing's gonna break down, and then it costs you more than you're making at your shows.
That is true.
But no, have fun in that thing, and there are, again, as Rishi nods his head with this, the horror stories of people grabbing those airport shuttles and things like that, and just being stuck in the middle of no man's land are brutal. So,
and they're commercial. If it's commercial plates, and then the normal mechanics in some states can't look at it. Then the gas mileage, does it take diesel? Does it take unleaded? We ran into those issues, but we had very good advice from Punchline early on, who told us to always rent the van until you are making enough where you can actually pay for the insurance on the van. Now, granted, I started when I was 18, 17, so those very wise words. But, you know, I think that it's awesome. You got a van, you run that thing into the ground.
Absolutely.
Yes. If you've got a mechanic on board, then
plus it carries your gear and everything. Just run that thing into the freaking ground. The fact that you have a mechanic on the road is life-changing.
It really is.
Yeah.
It most certainly is. And also for us too, like we have the backup of Jeremy's mom's car as well.
Oh,
so
good.
we got that backup going.
You're like Smokey and the Bandit. It's like that's amazing.
Yeah. So we're definitely lucky about people helping us out.
Jared, can you talk about your first tour you ever did?
Yeah.
Sure. You know, we started out, you know, I mean, I can't really talk, like, there was a lot of weekend stuff at first, you know, because we're from Texas. I benefit not just the East, that a lot of markets to play. They're long drives, but at one point we had 13 markets in Texas that we could play, but the first like get in the van, go in the trailer thing. We were out about 5 months, and it was some weeks we had 4 shows, and so on the days that we didn't have a show, I would literally go into a club and be like, "Hey, do you guys have a band tonight? There's nothing on the marquee." You'd be like, "No, we're just open or whatever." Well, hey, we'll play for $50 and 5 hamburgers and a case of water. The shit. And then they call all their friends, and we go to a record store and play a record store or whatever. I mean, again, that's when I talk about that. That was the only way you could grind back then. There was you didn't have social media, so it was just like, we'd go and play in front of 20 people, and the next time we came, there were 60. But yeah, a lot of breakdowns on that tour, a lot of tail between the legs.
No agent.
No agent. It was me. Their Musician Magazine used to put out this magazine every year called it was either the Musician's Guide or the Musician's Playbook. And what it was literally just a publication, and in it was every bar, every club in the country that had bands, their contact information and all that. Then it had rental companies in the cities, and it was all just kind of sectioned off for you. And so I used to just put together tours with that. And I would be putting together the tour as we were going. It would just be that we would just sort of leave and not know when we were coming back, but we didn't have anything at home to tie us down. We didn't have wives or mortgages or kids or dogs, we had decided to throw everything into this thing.
Right.
It's the best time of our lives. And again, I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I'd also advise no one ever to do it.
I wish that I had like that spontaneity in me, or at least 10% of it. I am such a type A person. Like, I plan out our marketing campaigns per song. I make a little Google document with everything we're doing.
That's great.
You have all of that you have all that access to that now, though. I mean, back then, we didn't even have, and we had an app, we didn't even have MapQuest or Priceline. So, one of our favorite games is try to get into town early and try and find the club without directions or even knowing the address. So, because if you're going to a college town, you sort of know, okay, I'm going to go near there, or I'm going to go here. And you realize if you've kind of gone too far downtown, you're in the wrong area, and, just make fun, do things. But yeah, I mean, sometimes we were playing 2 shows on Saturdays. We'd go play a record store during the day, at 2 hours notice. And then we'd, have a show that night. And, but I mean, I was working radio too. Like, I was calling radio stations, cold call, and being like, I had this, I had a persona. I was Jeb Ryan was my name. And I'd be like, this is Jeb Ryan from Fro Records calling. I got a band from Dallas coming in, and they're willing to come in and talk to you about the new single if you guys like. And back then, you'd be surprised how many of them would go, yeah, we don't have shit going on. Just come on by.
The readily availableness of venues then too was. I mean, like, my first job I ever had was, and I don't know if Bowling Green Super ever played this in Pittsburgh. Do you remember a venue in Pittsburgh called Club Laga?
Yes. Was that the place that people were divided by a fence if you could drink or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the first job I ever had. And I mean, I remember in Pittsburgh, right when we started, there were 9 legitimate venues in Pittsburgh, and now today there's 2.5.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. I mean, that's a whole other issue in terms of the degradation of venues and so on and so forth. But those first the first tours are the ones you never forget, because it's like, and I kind of realized this the other day. I was writing a song, and I was thinking about, why does it suck getting older? Of course, like, getting older and your back hurts and shit like that. But what sucks about getting older is that you have an opinion about, and nothing is new anymore.
Right.
If you've never experienced it, you have an opinion about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea, of course, do as I say, not as I do, about touring is really, really important to understand. But then again, if I have a kid ever and, like, he or she's going to go into tour, I'm going to say, yo, here is $100. Take my car, go do it. And because those are the things you're gonna remember, for the rest of your life. So Maggie, you guys kill it, and you let us know how many people are showing up to each show.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's 0 for some, just so you can experience
the
whole world.
Oh yeah, we've totally been there. And honestly, those can be fun nights too. Like, I remember we played a few shows out of state in this lineup pre-Glimmers. But we played a show in Memphis. I can't remember what the venue was, but it wasn't like your typical like Masquerade or like more pop punk rock type venue. But totally not our audience at all. You know, maybe 5 or 6 people, you know, got motorcycles, cool shit, whatever. And then a wonderful, gotta give a shout out to William Moody, the sweetest old man who danced with us, and gave us his card because he does hair. So we keep up with Mr. Moody. But that night was still so fun. Like, we played our show, and for us, it's like, we would be doing this whether it's 0 people in the room or whether it's 1 million people in the room. We just are best friends and we love playing music. And so the fact that we have the opportunity to go out and to travel and to experience it together for the first time as very new band, like, that's exciting.
You know, fantastic point. I think if I go back to, I need to make sure that you guys are aware that we were playing shows, but there wasn't anybody there. And that was the thing, right? We put on the same show, whether there were 100 people, 20 or 0. And so if I'm making jokes to the bartender and that's who we're playing to, it's still the same.
Absolutely.
And some of the best friends, some of the biggest proponents of our band that still like book shows for us in certain cities or whatever, that like just saw us and they were like, it's crazy that nobody is seeing this.
Yeah.
That's very, very important.
And
you never know who's in the room, guys.
Yeah.
You never know.
And it's so fortunate too. Like, my first official show is at the Masquerade. So 15-year-old Maggie with an acoustic guitar.
You're spoiled.
No! Listen, so I played like coffee shops and like I did that for a long time, like as a young teenager, playing like Mayday Parade and My Chem covers, like in like coffee shops, which I think is so funny. But I saw an opening inquiry, like they were looking for a local opener for Allison Weiss in 2014. And so I looked at my mom, and my mom has always been the person that said, if you don't try, you never know what's going to happen. So the worst thing that can happen is that it doesn't work out. So I sent an email. I had 50 likes on Facebook, probably my family and high school friends. And I was like, hey, I'm a big fan of Allison Weiss. I would love to have the chance to open for her. I had no music online. I had just maybe 2 or 3 YouTube videos. And they took a chance on me. And they said, do you have 30 minutes worth of original material? And can you sell pre-sales? And I was like, yes, like, give me the chance. And so they said, okay, great. So I sold like 30 pre-sale tickets to this show. It was a Tuesday night. I invited all my friends and my family. And that first show gave me the chance to continue growing at the Masquerade. So now, like, we played there in July. Our first show is Glimmers. We sold out a 300 cap like a week before, which was mind blowing. Yeah. And so it feels really good to like see that progression. But that also doesn't mean to take those moments for granted, because those are the moments where you start meeting new people and you build that foundation. So now I'm besties with Elena, the talent buyer, and Todd, the awesome security guy who's known me since I was 15. Like, it's really special, and it shouldn't be something that bands like gawk at because ticket sales are low.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Rishi.
Okay, I was gonna say, you know, I could speak for hours about what you just talked about, because and I think, Jared, I just want to say I think it's very cool that you're doing this. I know that the achievements you've had over the years are inexplicable compared to the little ones. Now, of course, it's to each their own. I just want to say I appreciate you being here to hear this stuff, because
totally.
I can sometimes, even in the little success we've had when we left the office to a major label, or when, you know, we toured the first time in Japan, then you come home and you go on tour and you're like, oh, there's 5 people here. Like, you can get jaded about it. And I appreciate, Maggie, you saying that, because like every little step and every success you have, there's 500 missteps. And those missteps I have unequivocally learned more from than any sort of success that I've ever had. And, you know, Danny, I'm sure you guys can talk about it too. I mean, you guys just signed with Vinny's, you know, label. That's a huge thing. You know, then you kind of maybe you're going on tour in a couple of weeks and you're going to play a show and there'll be 15 people and you're going to say, what the fuck am I doing? But then you got to remember, dude, like that's it. You know, Maggie, me, Jarrett, like everybody, like that is part of the whole entire movement as to why you're even here doing it.
100%. And I got to throw to, and Danny, I was just going to say, it is something Maggie said hit me, and it comes up in this group quite a bit where young bands, you know, just whine and cry about having to sell pre-sale tickets. And I have gone after them as many times as I think I should. I think I'm done now, but it's such a silly thing for a band to be like, I should just be able to go and play my show and make money because I practiced, you know, and people I don't understand how it doesn't make sense that if people don't come see your band, you should not fucking get paid. So the reason that they do this pre-sale thing is so you'll bust your ass and actually go tell your friends. Otherwise, there's no guarantee that you're going to do that, you know? Yeah. And so just the fact that you got that you're open to that, and you should be open to that, you know? It's all you're doing is guaranteeing an audience in there that's going to be stoked about your band. And then all the fans from the other people, there you go, buddy. Hey. Guess what? Everybody that has that ticket that's watching that doesn't have that ticket, that has the ticket for the headliner or whatever, is going, oh shit, I must be missing something because all of these people are stoked to see this band. You know, it's all just about how to build it and not, you know, you just got to put your ego down.
It's the grind. It's part of the grind. It is. I have soul, dude. I mean, when we were the Space Pimps, 2005, Metropole, it was Bowling for Soup, Army of Freshmen, Lucky Boys Confusion. We got to open. First of all, we had no problem selling tickets for that. But dude, that is the rite of passage. It's the, you know, you're the young, you know, getting the torch passed to you. Like it's part of it. And I don't think it sucks. Even, you know, in, you know, my 30s, like if someone's like, yo, you're going to play with Blink or Green Day or Newfound, and they're like, you need to sell 30 tickets. It's like, fine, we can headline and sell 400 tickets. Like it's no problem at this point. You know, I think if when a band comes to me, you know, a local Pittsburgh band, they're like, we want to play 4-chord. I'm like, no problem. Can you move 40 tickets to 4-chord, 10,000 cap? You know, I mean, like it should be no problem. And like, it's not because I'm trying to chastise you or I'm going to take that money. All local bands at 4-chord, when you sell tickets, you get 50% of that ticket. So it's a $50 ticket. You're getting $25 per ticket that you sell if you're a local band. It's just part of the tradition. I mean, it sucks sometimes, but like, it's okay that it sucks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, you've got to put the time in. And that really is what it comes down to. You've got to, you know, put the time in to make those connections, to network, to put yourselves out there. I think a lot of people just really do sometimes come into it with quite, like you say, unrealistic expectations or think that it's going to happen really quickly or overnight. And it's not, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So
that we know of.
That we know of. True.
I don't know, man. There's some biblical shit going on that happened pretty quick.
Jared, I got a question for you from a bunch of people that are friends of mine about, this is a bit more at the upper level now, but what exactly, now from what I remember, did you manage Bowling for Soup for a lot of years?
Yeah, until 2007.
Okay, so now you have a manager now.
That's right.
Can you discuss at your level the relationship between the artist, the management, and the artist and the booking agency? And how that stream of communication works, and how much vetting do you do with every opportunity that each one of those hands get? Okay,
sure. First of all, we're not a democracy. We are a dictatorship, and it is 100% run that way. Everybody understands that. I take on way too much. That's by design. Every photo you see is approved by me, even if it's not of me. So really the way that the management thing works is in my where I am right now, he is basically, my agent can call me anytime. We're buds. He can call me and suggest this and suggest that. But my manager and I are going to discuss everything. And then he's going to take what I want to have happen back to when there was a label involved. If we have publicists, to promoters, if he needs to our agents or whatever. But he is pretty much essentially me, and he represents everything that I want and that I want to have happen. And sometimes he doesn't agree with what it is he's making happen. Sometimes he's like, I think this is a mistake. And I'm just like, well, you know what? I've been doing it a fucking long time. So, and sometimes he's right and sometimes he's not. But my agent, essentially, at our level, which again, you asked me a question, so I'm wording it the way that you worded it. At my level, I decide, okay, I want to go here and I want to do this. And then my manager goes to my agent. And he says, we want to go here and do this. And then the agent sends back like this idea. And then we go, nope, we want to do this and this and this. And what about this? That comes back. And then, so that's touring Bowling for Soup. And here's who I want on it. Will you take this band? Nope. Will you take this band? Oh yeah, they're pretty cool. Okay, I'll take them. But then other shows just come across his desk. Our agent gets the offer to go play the Ohio State Fair. He calls our manager sends a deal to me. I decide if I want to do it. I send out a thing to the band going, hey, we should do this thing. And they're like, cool. And then that's it. We go play the show. And then at that point, I reach out to crew guys, and the ones that can't go, I replace them for that particular run. And it all goes down like that. But it's super streamlined. I mean, but my manager deals with more than just music side of things. He's my manager for Chuck E. Cheese. He's my manager for auditions that I actually only had one conversation ever with my voice agent. Like I talked to them when I was hiring them, and that's the last conversation I ever had with them.
Oh, wow.
Which so I don't actually recommend that in most situations, because I think relationships are super important. Like, for example, I don't think managers should handle your endorsements. I think artists should handle those themselves. Like, I think you need to be there to say, hey, Ernie Bahl, thank you very much for these strings that I'm taking on tour. And thank you for this guitar and, Mesa Boogie and ProMark and all of these things. That's important. Your manager shouldn't be doing that. And then, so I think then it's just important sometimes to have that FaceTime with your agents and stuff. And again, I've been with Andy, for over 20 years, and that relationship's great.
Can you talk a little bit about, for maybe smaller artists, like, again, my friends are literally texting me real time in this, about tangential income streams for bands. So, and of course, at your level, you have voiceover work, you've broken into commercial and other realms, but on a more, we'll say, mid-level range, what can bands and artists do to help supplement their income stream than just streams and touring?
Look, here's the thing. So this is sort of the answer to your question, is sort of just my theory on things.
Okay.
My manager, who now has been with me forever, Mike Swinford, Rainmaker, when he came into managing me, we were kind of coming off of all of the really big hits. We were still doing very, very well commercially, and hadn't really hit our short-lived lull as far as like live is concerned, which now is completely gone. And thank you, everybody. But he said to me, he goes, it's statistically pretty much impossible for you to just make a good living just doing music. Just doing that. Like, you just want to write songs and play in Bowling for Soup. You need to be ready to, okay, this is how much I'm going to make over here, and this is how you want to live. But if you want a better lifestyle, if you want this, if you want things, then you have to find, instead of trying to find something that, say, makes you $150,000 a year,
right,
why don't you do 10 things that make you $7,000 a year, or 10,000, whatever, 15, whatever. That was terrible math, but
that was fine. You did the right math.
The idea is that, listen, I can do this over here and make this. So, okay, so I can get on stage it, and I can make this amount of money each year. And then for Bowling for Soup, I can do this. Then I can do this many acoustic shows. And then over here, I can do this little merch thing that I'm doing. Now me and Kelly can go make a record, and that'll make us a couple of $1,000s. And, here and there, I direct videos. I don't anymore. I directed videos for a while. I produced bands. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of just taking all of this stuff that I've learned by being here and spreading that out. And well, shit, I could do that, So yeah, I mean, again, I think there with streaming shows and stuff like that, there's a way to turn that into income. I will say this. Look, this is the bad news in all of it. as far as streaming is concerned. I see the complaints. I get that artists who are getting 10,000 streams. I get that you feel like you deserve more, and I understand, and I get that feeling, and I was there, and I get it. We sold 2.6 million records for Jive worldwide, and we got our first record royalty last year.
Wow.
Think about it.
Fuck.
2.6 million records worldwide, and the first time we ever got a check for selling music was last year.
Okay,
Wow.
so Jared, so this is just sparking a million things. So obviously,
We've taken over, Danny. I'm sorry.
obviously, you signed the Jive deal, the Clive Davis shit when you were young. I'm assuming you were in your 20s, 30s.
Clive Calder.
Clive Calder.
Well, those are two different Clives.
So, well, Jive Records is Clive Davis, isn't it?
No, it's Clive Calder. When we signed, it was still an independent label, biggest independent label in the world. Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Thou Shall Not Be Named, R. Kelly. He sold it for $4 billion with a B, $1 billion to BMG and bought an island, and we've never seen him again.
Sick. So your deal, your record deal. We don't have to get into specifics of the deal, but
Sure.
Obviously, I think that just to inform people that are watching, right, when you sign a record deal, you are giving up a lot in order to gain access to a lot.
That's right.
And most of the time, that is in perpetuity, right? So they own that record right.
Yeah.
At least my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, with major labels, they will own the master to that forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Okay. So your percentage goes up, maybe I'm wrong, after they're paid back.
That's correct. Yeah. Well, you start to get a percentage, but I mean,
right.
What you're making is going to pay back. So your income from this is going to recoup. So all of that money they spent on videos, even an in-house publicist, they're charging you for that packaging, inside art shit. That again, that person's their employee, but they're still charging you back for that.
Oh,
and it's the biggest scam ever. However, there's a place for labels, and it's important to certain bands. And I wouldn't have known half the shit I know now had we not had that experience. So I am not jaded. I'm good. Right now we're good. It's fine. We recouped. We did it.
And I mean, finally, it's sickening it took that long, but also the industry has changed dramatically. I mean, like I think in the early 2000s, I mean, you wanted a label for distribution purposes, when today you want a label for marketing, so, and that's right. Going back to the TikTok, which is what I was trying to kind of roll back into, is that it's like today, the only distribution platform you have essentially are streaming. There, obviously vinyl is increasing exponentially over the last 5 years, but with streaming, what sucks, and then I found this out recently, that these labels, essentially are controlling the playlists.
That's right.
Right. So we talk about payola. And for those that are too young, payola was when record labels would pay radio stations to essentially play their artists. We are experiencing streamola. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you heard the names I dropped earlier, right? For the bands that were on. So I'm not saying that payola happened to get Bowling for Soup on the air. And I'm not saying that I heard it go down at all. I'm not saying that at all. I did not hear it happen.
Look,
I wouldn't have guessed.
I will just say, growing up on my way to school, I would hear 1985 on Radio Disney.
Yes. Okay. So that's an interesting thing, because we never did good at colleges here in the States ever, until the generation that had 1985 and watched Phineas and Ferb got to college. And our college shows are crazy now. Like,
isn't that fucking crazy?
It's nuts. It's a completely different world for us in the college market, because now it's Radio Disney, Phineas and Ferb, and then that's what their parents were listening to in the car.
Yep.
But anyway, I want to go back to the thing that I was trying to make. But about that royalty that we just got last year. However, we started getting checks for streaming. It's not all the money in the world, but it's something.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, like, The only time we ever made money in music was selling CDs out of the back of our car before we were signed. Once we got signed, they were charging us 10 and we were selling them for 5 most of the time. Because obviously music is your calling card. And by the way, next subject change, and then I'll leave it back with you guys. CDs are so cheap, everybody, and most people don't have a way to play them. Fucking print CDs and just give them away at shows. Even if your music's on, and go, hey, take this and go stream our shit or whatever. Literally give it away. You don't need to sell it for $5. They cost 70 cents to make. Literally put one in every single hand at your show.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to them for free.
I want to build on that from something that you brought up in our last workshop as well, Jarrett, which is about covers that you can put out on Spotify. And the fact that now, sorting out all the paperwork is taken out of the artist's hand, because services like DistroKid and CD Baby sort all of that out for you. So really to just get on getting out as many covers as you can. And I'm sure Maggie as well, you would testify to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for me, I'd love to get you guys' opinion on that, because I post covers on social media. The band, we've put out just 2 covers. We were a part of a Black Parade compilation, so we did This Is How I Disappear.
Nice.
And then we did like a live version of Still Into You by Paramore, because we did our live stream from the Masquerade, so that was a little extra that we added. But what are you guys' thoughts? Because I've heard differing things about releasing so many covers on a bigger scale. So not just social media wise, but on DSPs.
Yeah, I can take that. I'm the biggest. Obviously, if you're a follower of Bowling for Soup, we're putting out cover after cover after cover. It's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year long, Clark. I mean, because here's the thing: as long as you don't sell it, then you're making money off of it. The artist is making money off of it. YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, they're all doing the accounting for you.
Yeah, thank God.
You're making money on it. Again, hundredths of a cent, but guys, it's something, you know. And plus, it's just another thing for discovery for people to be, oh man, my parents used to like that song, or oh shit, that was in Benji 3, and it's just another way to tie that in. Rishi, what do you think about that?
I mean, I come from a world where the cover is a very sacred thing that you can't fuck up. I come from a world where Newfound Glory is releasing From the Screen to Your Stereo Part 1. It's one of the first CDs I ever got. Like, I mean, that was unbelievable, because they weren't covering bands in their genre. And now I know that's changed. And we did when Blink broke up, we were on the Blink tribute record with like All Time Low, 4 Years Strong. We did What's My Age Again. And I'll never forget Mark Hoppus, commented about it. And at the time I wet myself. But at the same token, like I have a hard time taking an already existing punk or pop punk song and you can't put your own spin when you're in the genre. Now it's a different story. We got early on when we were the Space Pimps in 2010, 2011, we did a cover of Can You Feel Love Tonight. Now we had to go through the whole thing with Tim Rice, the writer, give the royalties, go through an entertainment lawyer. It was a nightmare. And we got it printed physically on CD. So there had to be, all these mechanical rights that had to be sorted that, went over great. We did a cover of Wannabe by the Spice Girls on our Japanese release that went over really great. I just find it's very good for discovery. I'm gonna just highlight what Jared said. Today it's great for discovery. It's terrible for longevity. Yeah. If you're young, if you're already established and you're the Ataris and you're release Boys of Summer, I mean that's great. But if you're Eternal Boy and you have 100,000 monthly listeners and you're covering Blink 182 and releasing it, I don't know how that would work.
So I should clarify. I really mean less within genre. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think All Time Low needs to cover, Blink 182 because it's going to sound the fucking same. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real reason for me to do a Green Day cover. It's going to sound the same. Yeah. This is like out of your wheelhouse kind of cover. There's a
left field basically.
There's a playlist called Covered in Punk on Spotify that's fucking great, and not just because I have like 7 songs on it.
Let's go. Let's see it. Check it out.
But yeah, I here's the one thing that I would say about the covering within your genre is that, historically in music, that sort of happened. I mean, Elvis covered Willie Nelson, and Willie Nelson, Patsy Cline covered Willie Nelson, and they all did each other's songs.
Yep.
I don't think maybe the genres were quite as divided, and maybe you're right on that.
And we did in our genre. I mean, splits. I mean, Newfound Glory covered Dashboard. Dashboard covered Newfound Glory. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Patent Pending, Bowling for Soup, and the Dolly Ruts. We did a 3-way.
Absolutely, I have it. Absolutely.
And on that point of discovery as well, like from the listener's perspective, from the band's perspective, but if a listener discovers you because of a song that you've covered, then at the end of the day, that might lead to them then checking out some of your original stuff. So if it's not your original music they discover in the first instance,
what's the end goal though? That's the question. If your end goal is to, and I'm not talking shit on this band, but you're Our Last Night that really got, Pop. We just played a show with them. We played a couple shows with them. They're really great guys. Their fan base is very receptive. I find that the pop fan base is actually more receptive than the punk fan base.
Oh yeah.
Which is great, but like, I don't know that you've put a ceiling on yourself at that point when you're starting out just covering stuff. Now there's an expectation. Oh, here's their original. It's not bad. When's that cover coming? Yeah, I mean, I just think it puts a ceiling on it unless you've made it. You're successful. You've sold hundreds of thousands of units, and now you're covering a band. Then I'm like, okay, cool. I can back that. Now, am I going to go on TikTok tomorrow and am I going to do a duet with Maggie? I'm doing it. Because that's a discovery thing. We're still in our discovery phases, at least Danny, Maggie, and myself.
I guess what I would say to that is the way that and maybe it's different, and maybe my mindset is just different because I am established and I don't have to worry about building it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do, though. I'm trying to build it. I'm trying to make my percentages go up every year because I'm still an active musician. To me, streaming is this is my manager, actually. He made this. I can't take credit for this, but it's essentially a toll booth. And you just imagine if you could we have 800,000 followers on Facebook, right? Imagine if we could get 25% of them somehow to stream us every single day.
Dude, I've said the same thing.
Okay.
Same thing.
But the point is that what you want them to do is just go through the booth. We cover Eddie Money, and I want them to go through and go, oh, this is that band that does High School Never Ends, and then listen to High School Never Ends and add that to their workout playlist, or this is that band that does this, or they leave it on Bowling for Soup, and all of a sudden I got 5 streams. I mean, they all count, right? So again, I think just as far as, I guess my retort to I don't think it's the flag you fly. Mm-hmm. I think that it's a way to get people to go through the toll booth.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
That's how I feel. And that's why I like doing covers on TikTok, because TikTok is such a platform that's for discovery anyway, with how great the algorithm is, to where when I post, a cover of a song from Hamilton, but in a pop punk style, which I do. Right. That's very fun.
I heard it. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I love that. So I love mixing different genres in that way too. But I love using TikTok for that reason of, okay, I can post a cover a day on TikTok and not feel like it's taking away from my original music, but maybe it's allowing people to find it.
Very interesting point.
The other thing is, yes, exactly. As to your point on TikTok, especially to me, and again, I'm not established on there at all, and I need to be. But you get people hearting your thing and following you or whatever. Then they do see that time when you advertise your band or whatever. Otherwise, they're never seeing that.
Yeah.
It's 5 people see it. So the way for you to jump into that wave, so to speak, that's what everybody keeps saying. You jump into the wave. Which I can't do anymore. I'm too old. But oh man, we've said a lot, guys.
That we have.
Maggie, what's next for you guys? Here you are. You're coming out of your cage. You've been doing just fine. And band's established. You're starting to play shows. Are you releasing this music that you said that you guys already had together?
Yeah. So we have 3 EPs out now. So a couple weeks ago, we released a live EP, and then we have 2 EPs of all original stuff. So we're stoked about that. This is our first time to be able to tour on it, so we're going to enjoy that for a minute. But kind of in the meantime, we're in the demoing process. So choosing the next songs, hopefully going to shop it, see if anyone's interested. If not, we got the resources, so we'll just push it in the way that we can. But yeah, we're trying to plan a tour for March, and then we're trying to maybe hop on something in the summer. So focusing on shows and then hopefully recording stuff soon. But until then, going to be on TikTok, going to be doing all the things. I love posting covers in this group too, in a lot of Facebook groups. So I will be around.
Where can people find you on the social medias?
Yeah, so we are at Glimmers Band on everything, so you can check out the band there. And then I'm at It's Maggie Schneider. Yes, my last name is very hard to spell. That's why we changed our name. SCHNEIDER, and that's for Instagram and TikTok. So yeah, say hey.
Rishi, what's up with you next, man? I mean, we didn't really talk about you guys in COVID, but are you guys back to being active? But I know you also teach. So what are you doing?
We play a lot. We do anywhere between 50 on a non-COVID year, 50 to 80 shows a year. I'm a full-time professor at a small university, and I teach in the marketing department. But it's a very, very, very time flexible job in terms of what I do. I teach 2 days a week, do a day of research, and then that's all my commitment is to the university. So to me, music is my number one. It always has been. It always will be. And everywhere, the university knows that. But Eternal Boy is always very active. We had a whole thing planned in December, a 2-week run, but we decided to bail. It didn't need to happen. Something that could have been pushed back. We are, my wife works in the medical field, so I'm not too eager to go to small sweaty clubs, though we are playing. We played Four Chord Music Fest. We have an annual holiday show we are doing in December. We have a run planned in February. We're announcing it right at the new year, and we are writing new music. We are going to record more music, and going to go back to the grind. Planning Four Chord Music. Four Chord Music Fest is my life is like 10% academia, and then it's about 40%, 50% Eternal Boy, and then 40% Four Chord Music Fest. Four Chord Music Fest is happening on September 10th, 2021. It's September 9th and September 10th. This year it's 2 days. We should get all of our bands on the show this year. So
please, let's
Danny,
bring it. Let's do this.
You, Maggie, and I know it will be much more complicated with Jarrett, but we will get that as well.
Man, I don't know why this hasn't happened before. Let's do it. We got your good buddy Rob in our band now. Come on,
dude. Rob and I, please. I've got Rob. I know Rob. Rob is a friend maker and friend creator. So so Four Chord is going to be pretty big this year. I'm not ready to announce anything yet, but it's going to be super sick. So all full-time jobs. I'm also looking to sign a band to Four Chord Music Fest. That's going to be announced in the next couple months. So I can't. I have ADHD. When it comes to professionalism, I cannot sit still. I have to constantly be doing something or working towards something. So, I appreciate all of you. I mean, this has been great. It's such every level here we have. We're talking about the grind. We're talking about macro level, micro level. It's just awesome. And as a matter of fact, is the invitations to all three of you. I teach a entertainment management course. I would absolutely love if all three of you individually, not together, it would be mayhem if we did that, would speak to my class. They would absolutely be delighted by all three of your guys' insights.
Bring it.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Totally
Are you
down for
coming
that.
to Atlanta soon?
What was that?
Are you coming to Atlanta soon?
In March we are.
Yay!
So I will hit you up.
Please.
And if you come to Pittsburgh, you hit me up, okay?
Oh,
and
definitely.
Danny, when you come to Pittsburgh, you hit me up.
Yes. And
It's
you
much
guys
farther, longer, and more expensive, but you are welcome here anytime.
And when you guys get over here to the UK, you need to let me know.
Yes.
I actually did twice, and you didn't show up to any shows, but that's okay.
You son of a bitch and Danny. Maggie, I don't know if you know this. Atlanta is Bowling for Soup's home away from home. We did 3 records there.
Oh, I Who'd you
so
work with?
that's where Butch was living back in the day. So Butch
Oh,
Walker.
I knew that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, amazing songwriter.
We
I know
had a lot of
Zach-
fun.
Yeah, Zach and Kenneth live here too, and they have a
Mhm.
studio here as well.
Cartel Chroma was done there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
Well,
yeah. Shut
Tell
up.
all the peeps at the masquerade that I said hello. That we have been there many a night.
They're the best. They really are.
Danny, should we promote ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing these days, Danny? You guys are busy as shit too.
Yeah. No, we're just this Friday. We're just about to do a little weekend run, which is one of the 2 remaining ones that we'll have before the year is out. Just a little 3-day weekender. We're hitting up Wales on the first night, then Rotherham, then Leeds, and then in December we're hitting Southampton, London, and Gloucester. So should be good fun. Still don't know obviously what's going to happen in terms of attendance and stuff, but like you guys said, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's like a few people. Like if we end up, with one fan who goes home from that and is stoked on the show, then I'm stoked. And obviously, I don't know what's going to happen next year. It depends on what's happening over here in the UK, what's happening with COVID. But I would hope that obviously things are going to continue to pick up like they have been. And we can do more and more bits and pieces. And then we have an EP release show for our EP in January at the Junction, which is like our local music venue, which you guys, good segue, Bowling for Soup, you're playing there on December the 13th.
Coming up, but more importantly, new single is out. Kill 'Em with Kindness. It is a very poignant and pertinent song, and you should all go listen to it. It will save some lives, I think. And that video comes out in a week, and we're very, very excited about it. Lyric video's out now. You can check that out. Bowlingforsoup.com, JarrettReddick.com. I'm everywhere at JARET2113. And love this group, Danny. I love that it's growing. These panels are amazing. Rishi and Maggie, you guys are both freaking rock stars. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Jarrett. Yeah, and Danny, thank you so much for having me involved.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on. Like, really, really appreciate it.
And Danny, where can people find Music Networking 101 on the socials?
Yeah, absolutely. So for anyone who isn't in the group already, you can go to facebook.com/groups/alternative music networking. And we also have our own page now as well for this workshop, which is facebook.com/music networking 101. So yeah, if you guys want to go to those and join, we'd really appreciate it.
And we're on Instagram now.
Yes, and we're on Instagram at Music Networking 101.
Yeah,
making moves.
I know. Yeah. I want to see you using your TikTok.
It's happening. Oh, yeah. It's gonna happen. It is.
I was thinking when you were talking, I was like, you should use the good soup trend. Have you seen the good soup trend?
No, but tell me about it.
It's literally audio, and it's like someone sipping soup, and the guy's just like, good soup. So use that to your advantage.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I like this. Thank you.
That's a trend you can jump on.
100%. Yeah. I can't jump on many of them. I'm a pretty heavy guy, but.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in and watching this. And if you want to catch our next one, we will be back again on December the 18th when we will be joined by Tom Higginson from the Plain White Tees and Adam Ramey from Dropout Kings.
Wow, we are the lowest tier guests ever, Maggie.
Not true. Now, and by the way, Tom also independent label owner operator, so he will have even more insight into that. Rishi, we didn't really even get into that with you, so please come back. Both of you, please come back. And we've been saying goodbye now for 10 or 15 minutes. So
what I will say is down the line, it would be really cool if we set up like an actual physical event when obviously, COVID is much more in a better place and we can do that. But that would be amazing if
we could do it as a side bit for 4-Chord Music Festival.
It can turn into it can turn into 4-Chord Music EDU where we get like panels before. Jared can host it and it can get shut down by the cops. It'll be great.
I'm in. Let's do this thing.
Done. All right, guys. Thank you so much, very much. I appreciate it again.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you for coming on, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Spread the word.
Bye.
Thank you.